Welcome to Creature Creator, the show where I help you recreate your favorite stories and characters at your gaming tables. Our long Fazbear Summer is finally coming to an end here in the fall as we dive deep into the latest installment of the Fnaf franchise, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Released back in 2021 by Steel Wool Studios, Security Breach has always held a special place in my heart. Partially because the game's world design really brings out the nostalgia in me. I mean, just look at the Pizzaplex. It looks like it came straight out of the 90s. I would have killed to go there as a kid. But more importantly, it was Security Breach that inspired me to base the first episode of Creature Creator on the Fazbear game. 25 videos later, it feels like the end of a long journey to finally get the chance to discuss this corner of the Five Nights franchise. With its expansive zones, oodles of secret rooms, and winding boss arenas, we couldn't ask for a better game to demonstrate the fine art of crafting a lush overworld for our Fnaf games. Here on Creature Creator. Hello there, Game Masters! I bet there are a few of you out there who are pretty freaking glad I am finally getting around to discussing Overworlds. After all, it should go without saying that our pizzerias are starting to look a little crowded with all the animatronics and encounters we've gone over. It's high time we give everything a little breathing room. See, for those who are scratching their heads right now, Overworlds, or hub worlds, is the term given to the area that connects all of the important locations in a game. They can be something as simple as a single building, like the Pizzaplex in Security Breach, to something as grand as an entire continent, like Eorzea in Final Fantasy XIV. No matter the size though, Overworlds can be incredibly beneficial to both game masters and players alike. For GMs, outside the obvious benefits of having more space to run their games in, an overworld can provide the chance for much needed breaks between all the dungeon exploring, combat encounters, or shopping sprees, which in turn also offers the players the perfect chance to plan the party's next move, roleplay a casual conversation, or maybe simply take a moment to appreciate a place that may not be crucial to your overall plot. I mean, what adventurer wouldn't love the chance to stop and soak in the scenery? To be clear though, an overworld doesn't always have to be so peaceful. In fact, a hub zone can be just as riddled with random encounters of danger or world building as any other place in your games. Of course, the trick to making it work all comes down to how you set up your campaign. For me, when I settle in to design my overworld, what has always worked best was to never look at the map as an oversized puzzle that I needed to figure out where all my locations, factions, and quest lines fit together, but rather as the blueprints to a home I am building for my friends. Essentially, I focus first on establishing what game mechanics I want before I start fussing about its appearance or place in my world. Take Security Breach for instance. Many of the Pizzaplex's various attractions are clearly designed around setting up an important game element, like housing a key item, challenging the player's skills, or offering up a few clues to the game's many mysteries. However, there are a few locations that really miss the mark, where either because of poor planning or maybe just the pressure to get the game out on time, it's very evident the location's function got muddled in development. The biggest offender of this is, without question, the Fazcade level, where players are sent into a boss battle against Fnaf's biggest animatronic yet, DJ Music Man, as they are challenged to flip a set of 3 switches spread out across this 2-story arcade, all the while the good DJ chases them down. To be fair though, the area starts off pretty on point. Players are given the chance to size up the big lug while it's sleeping, read about their capabilities, and take in the fact that this place is littered with tunnels large enough for the big bot to crawl through. Across the board, it's just a fantastic example of environmental storytelling that any aspiring game master would do well to emulate. I mean, how can any player enter this boss arena and not immediately think,
I got a bad feeling about this?
Where everything starts to fall apart though, really is the actual encounter itself. When it becomes quickly apparent that the main threat of this sequence is not the DJ, but the various other bots that are also crawling about the room. The very same ones players have spent the majority of the game already avoiding. This is the exact kind of conundrum a GM can fall into when they get too caught up on appearances before settling on function. Steel Wool clearly intended for the Fazcade to be based around DJ Music Man, but they neglected to make sure the area was capable of ensuring the animatronic was the main focus, resulting in an encounter that felt like it was trying to be both an epic chase scene and intense stealth mission, for it to only really fail at both. This design flaw is only that more apparent when compared to other levels where Steel Wool got it right, like the playground held within the Superstar Daycare. Its function? To challenge the players to once again flip a variety of switches. The catch? They are all hidden inside a maze-like playground that is being patrolled just by the creepy daycare attendant. The encounter is simple, focused, and very effective at what it does.
Put me down! You asshole!
A good way to ensure your design achieves similar results is to figure out from the very beginning the main objectives of your campaign, like how many boss fights you want, the number of important MacGuffins that need to be found, or what allies your players have to recruit. From there, you can start spreading them across your map one by one, ideally with no objectives of the same type neighboring one another, to all the better ensure that the party gets treated to different goals, no matter what path they take. It's only after this crucial step that I finally start figuring out the lore, geography, and the appearance for each of these locations. Typically by settling on whatever I find to be the most inexplicable way to achieve the objective I assigned for that spot. What can I say? I truly am a 90s kid at heart, and a sucker for the classic trope of adventure hooks coming about by happenstance. Plus, it really encourages my players to explore every corner of my world for its hidden secrets. Speaking of secrets, Security Breach is filled to the brim with them. Hidden rooms, collectibles, scattered lore notes, and the like. They are so prevalent that GMs looking to fully recreate the Pizzaplex experience would certainly be remiss to not include any themselves. So don't forget to sprinkle your own Easter eggs about the place. Or, at the very least, be willing to humor your players rolling investigations for them. You'd be surprised how much you can achieve by running a scene of your players discovering a hidden piece of lore that you totally didn't just make up on the spot, as they can often be used as a way to either give your players subtle hints or to further immerse them into your world, which you should be doing already by ensuring your overworld keeps to a cohesive setting. As fun as it would be to throw in every possible gimmicky level you can think of, not every campaign is going to be capable of that, especially if you're building a major entertainment center like the Pizzaplex. Mind you, I am not saying you can't have any whimsical locations show up, but rather, you just need to make certain the places you do decide to include would legally be next to one another, thereby helping your players to suspend their disbelief all the easier. Okay, that's enough of the broad strokes. Let's get more specific and discuss how to recreate some of the more iconic scenes from Security Breach, starting with how to pull off big boss battles like the one with DJ Music Man, but, you know, better. In my humble opinion, there are only two reasons why any game master should be dropping supersized creatures in their games. Either to establish how small and insignificant their players are, or for an epic boss fight. Because I can guarantee you, if your players are not caught up in the awe of your monster's size, they will be definitely planning a way to kill it. Hence why I want to make sure you're ready to run a proper throwdown. Obviously, for starters, don't make Security Breach's mistake. No adding extra bots to the encounter. The party should be focused squarely on your big bad bot chasing their asses down. Secondly, set up more nooks and crannies for your players to duck into, like the bathroom at the start of the one in the game. These will be useful for when either you or your players need a break in the action, or for when you want to treat the party like the last chip in a Pringles can. Just moments away from being scooped up into the massive palm of your Megabot's fist. Thirdly, fill your environment with plenty of throwable objects and destructible terrain. Seeing as we are aiming to recreate a Fnaf game and not Dark Souls, this will give you something for your pursuing animatronic to wreck without running the risk of crushing your players to the paste right away. Done well, this entire encounter should play out like the final moments of the One in Security Breach, with your players ducking and diving between arcade cabinets and other debris while your big bot follows close behind. Well, one clever trick you can use to help plan for this mayhem beforehand is to build the whole scene like you're going to run one large obstacle course like the one in Ninja Warrior. From your players' perspectives, you'll still come across like you're tossing random debris at them, when in reality, you're just laying out their path. You can even determine whether they get away or not by how fast they complete this course. And if your players do get caught or refuse to run in the first place, don't worry, I got you covered. Check the description for my latest 5e stat blocks based on security breaches and animatronics. The one inspired by DJ Music Man should be more than enough for the occasion. But what of the other threats housed within the Pizzaplex? Well, it should come as no surprise that recreating moments from either security breach or ruin will lead you to playing out encounters we discussed before on this show. For instance, my guides covering the first game and sister location would certainly suffice in helping you set up any security room, sieges, or traffic encounters respectively, while recreating sections like the Fazbear Blast arena or Monty Golf's ball bucket could be easily achieved with a classic combat encounter. Don't be fooled though. Just because Security Breach makes use of so many classic Fnaf tropes doesn't mean it offers nothing new to the franchise. For starters, its bots are easily the most technologically advanced and highly armed creations we have ever seen. In case you've forgotten, Chica's voice box can reach frequencies that can mess with other electronics. Roxy's eyes allows her to see through walls. Monty's claws allow him to rip and tear his way through metal. And oh yeah, the daycare attendant can literally walk on walls like goddamn Spider-Man. Yeah. If it weren't for Freddy teaming up with you, there is no doubt in my mind the glam rock crew would have made mincemeat out of Gregory within the first few hours of the game. Speaking of which, probably would be a good idea to give your own players a friendly bot or two. And further complicating things for your party are the likes of new adversaries like the Glamrock Endos, Vanny, and the Mimic, who all use different tactics designed, I swear, to specifically counteract ones commonly employed by players. Have a party who are overly committed to knowing the whereabouts of the animatronics? Well, indulge their obsessions by locking them in a maze with a platoon of pursuing endos, who will happily remain in sight, providing someone is always looking at them. What's that, players? You're upset that it's difficult to do anything else? We're sorry. We thought you wanted to look at the bots, so we made you some that you have to watch all the time.
Forever.
But let's say you're working with a group who think they have all the animatronics tactics worked out, throwing disciples of William Afton at them like the enigmatic Vanny is the perfect solution to your problem. Seriously, they make the perfect wildcard for your villain's forces. Better yet, because such killers could disguise themselves with the same creepy costumes as your bots, the party may not even know for sure who or what is exactly chasing them down unless they get close enough to find out. Nor will they ever know for sure what kind of stat block you are using, considering there is nothing stopping GMs from passing the bunny suit on to a different creature or enemy before the next encounter. And even if that is not enough randomness to throw off your players, you still have access to bots like Ruin's Mimic, who can literally change its persona and, I can only assume, its appearance into whatever you need to challenge your players. Completely on the fly! Overpowered doesn't even begin to describe that robot. You should only break that thing out if you are really struggling to keep up with your players. It's actually partly because of that broken bot. I don't have any solid advice on recreating Security Breach's story at this time. The game's plot hook is familiar enough that any of you who have followed along up till now would have a pretty decent idea on how to make a story about kids getting trapped in a haunted mall of your own. But it's presently difficult to advise you on how to develop that story when the endings of both Security Breach and Ruin are still so ambiguous. Even when taking into account the Mimic's backstory revealed within the Five Nights book series, Tales from the Pizzaplex. This is setting aside the fact I really don't consider the books and the video games to share the same canon, because it's my strong opinion that you shouldn't have to do required reading to enjoy a video game story. Its narrative should be able to stand on its own. So instead, I'm going to offer this simple advice, friends. Let your imagination be your guide. I am confident all of you have the chops to really make some fantastic games. So don't be afraid to be weird, to take chances, to fail, to get back up and try again. No amount of advice I can give will ever be able to replace experiencing running a game for yourselves. And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the ones giving me advice. Until that day though, I think it's time I finally take my leave of Freddy Fazbear's for now. There are a lot of stories and characters we have yet to cover, and I hope you are as excited as much as I am to see what we can create next. Take care. Hey y'all, thank you so much for watching this here to the end. It means a lot to me. Meant it when I said it, gonna be taking a break from Fazbear for a bit. I would love to cover Help Wanted 2 coming out. Unfortunately, I do not have a PlayStation 5, nor do I have a VR headset to give that game justice. So until such time where I have the cash to go and afford the tech I need to play the game, yeah, this is where I get off for now for the Fnaf train. I want to thank you all so much for joining me though, up until this point. The Fazbear Summer, I know, went a bit long, but to be fair, the last several months I was planning my wedding, having my wedding, and also recovering from COVID. It's been a time. But be that as it may, I've enjoyed the experience to the very end. It's kind of surreal to just technically be done, and I'm kind of, I guess, a little bit sad about it. It's a little bit bittersweet. I've been working in this series for, I guess, close to 2 years now. But I guess on the bright side, it means that I have, well, the potential, the chance to try a few new things. Creature Creator is not going away, just to be clear. I just mean that I can, focus on other things outside of animatronics. Maybe take up a few suggestions I've been seeing in the comments, or even trying out a new show format. I've been toying with, expanding what I make, to cater to a larger audience, specifically to a larger horror audience. And I hope you'll come along with me as I give that a shot. Before I forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any of our videos, streams, anything like that. And, if you don't, no worries. I still think you're beautiful either way. You take care. I'll see you soon.